All right, start this video. I'll say I apologize. I ain't shaved. I ain't looking the best, but I still want to do a video. But nonetheless, this video is going to be about some of the mighty men of God, some of the people that served God or served God's servants. You know, like people like King David, some of his followers who followed him, who was part of David's army, or David's chosen warriors, men of valor. And I just want to speak about some of these because some of them's like, wow, man, that was what, man, you can't even fathom the amount of strength some of these men would have had to be able to do what they did. And it's the type of strength that only could come from God, without question. I mean, there's no way you could tell me that it would be anything less than that, because you can't train, I believe, by faith to be able to achieve what they achieved by our own strength, because we trained, you know, whatever. Obviously, they didn't have bench weights then. I don't think so. But, all right, I'm just going to go right into it. I'm going to speak about 2 Samuel chapter 23, verse 1 through 23. Now, there is more, but it's after 23, it starts talking about, like, it starts naming 30 people that had pertained to towards the end, and you'll hear when it talks about the 30. But I just kept the names out to try to shorten it some. All right, here we go. Now these be the last words of David. David, the son of Jesse, said, I also want to say, too, I apologize, I'm not going to be able to pronounce all these words accurately and according to probably the way they're supposed to be said. Sorry. I'm not a scholar in biblical pronunciations. Just, I wing it. Okay. Now these be the last words of David. David, the son of Jesse, said, and the man who was raised up on high, the anointed of the God of Jacob, and the sweet psalmist of Israel, said, the Spirit of the Lord spake by me, and his word was in my tongue. The God of Israel said, the rock of Israel spake to me. He that ruleth over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God. So he says it there. The God of Israel said, the rock of Israel spake to me. That's him being the rock. He that ruleth over men must be just. So he's saying those who are going to rule over the men must be just. Just, that's the scriptural terminology of, I guess, righteous, as you could say. Those who serve him, you know what I mean? So you're going to rule according to his will and not yours. Ruling in the fear of God. So you got to rule with the fear of God. So you got to have the fear of him. That's just a must. And he shall be as the light of the morning, when the sun riseth, even a morning without clouds, as the tender grass springing out of the earth by clear shining after the rain. After rain. Always correct myself, because if it's not the and I add the, now I'm adding to his word. I don't like to do that. Okay, although my house be not so with God, yet he hath made with me an everlasting covenant, ordered in all things, and sure, for this is all my salvation, and all my desire, although he make it not to grow. That's, although my house being not so with God, yet he hath made me an everlasting covenant, ordered in all things. So God ordered with all things, but it was an everlasting covenant. That's so he. That's a to me. That's a promise. What I believe it is. For this is all my salvation, and all my desire, although he make it not to grow. So wow, he made it not to grow. Don't know what that pretty much sums up. Something to that. I don't like to give commentary on something I don't know. I'll leave it alone, because if I'm unaware of how to explain it, I leave it alone. And sometimes I feel that I should just be quiet. Let the Spirit lead you. But the sons of Belial shall be all of them as thorns thrust away, because they cannot be taken with hands. But the man that shall touch them must be fenced with iron and the staff of a spear, and they shall be utterly burned with fire in the same place. Starting to get a little juicy. These be the names of the mighty men whom David had. So now it's going into talking about the people who served David, who was on his side to fight on his behalf, who fought on God's behalf. The Tachmonite that sat in the seat, chief among the captains, the same was Adino the Eznite. He lifted up his spear against 800 whom he slew at one time. Oh. What? Did you guys not get that? Oh my goodness. And the same was Adino the Eznite. He lifted up his spear against 800 whom he slew at one time. He took a spear and killed 800 people. I'm laughing because I don't know if you could picture 800 people. I couldn't even picture killing 12 with a spear. You know how much strength you'd have to have just to do that? Because 12 of these people, you'd have to be pretty quick to be able to just kill 12 people. And you're talking about 800 people. That's a lot. Wow. And after him was Eleazar, the son of Dodo, the Aphite, one of 3 mighty men with David. When they defied the Philistines that were there, gathered together to battle, and the men of Israel were gone away, he arose and smote the Philistines until his hand was weary. So he kept fighting until his hand was weary. So if that guy was able to fight with 800, it's hard to say what that guy killed. And he did it until he just got tired. Wow. And his hand clave unto the sword, so he held it tightly. And the Lord wrought a great victory that day, and the people returned after him only to spoil. And after him was Shammah, the son of Agi, the Harite, and the Philistines were gathered together into a troop. There was a piece of ground full of lentils, and the people fled from the Philistines. And he stood in the midst of the ground and defended it, and slew the Philistines, and the Lord brought a great victory. And he stood in the midst of the ground and defended it. So I can imagine he's probably like basically like standing in the front of them or in the midst of all of them, and he defended it and won the victory for the Lord. That's amazing. That take faith and bravery, courage, strength. And 3 of the 30 chief went down and came to David in the harvest time unto the cave of Adullam. And the troop of the Philistines pitched in the valley of Rephaim. And David was then in hold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem. And David longed and said, Oh, that one would give me drink of the water of the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate. And it's got an exclamation point there, so evidently that was one of those things he just felt earnest about. Yeah, I could kind of get it. And the three mighty men brake through the hosts of the Philistines and drew water of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. Nevertheless, he would not drink thereof, but poured it unto the Lord. Now, the three mighty men, as it says, break through the hosts of the Philistines. They're probably cutting their way through these guys and killing guys hand over fist to get to this brook, and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it and brought it to King David. It says unto David, but we know he's the king to them. Nevertheless, he would not drink. So even King David, once they went through all this and brought the water to King David, he wouldn't drink it. And poured it out unto the Lord. Why? He's about to say why. And he said, Be it far from me, O Lord, that I shall do this. Is not this the blood of men that went in jeopardy of their lives? That's the question. I'm talking about the 3 men that went in to go get that water was in jeopardy to bring him that water. So he didn't want to drink it. He poured it into the Lord. Therefore he would not drink it. These things did these 3 mighty men. And Abishai, the brother of Joab, the son of Jeshrai, was chief among 3, and he lifted up his spear against 300 and slew them, and the name among 3. There you go. There's another one. And he lifted up his spear against 300 and slew them, and had the name among 3. So now you had the one that did 800. Now this guy did 300. That's a mighty man of God who served King David at the time. So these guys were warriors back then. Buddy. Was he not most honorable of 3? That's a question. Therefore he was their captain, howbeit he attained not unto the first 3. Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, who had done many acts, he slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. He went down also and slew a lion in the midst of a pit in time of snow. That even, it might not be 800, it might not be 300, but it says, who had done many acts. He slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. So lion-like men, picture a lion just in a sense of what you know him as, how powerful a lion is, but he slew 2 men that was lion-like. So evidently these guys were pretty aggressive, pretty men of war, is what I'm assuming here. And he also slew a lion in the midst of a pit in time of snow. So he not only killed the two men that was lying, like he also killed a lion. And he slew an Egyptian, a goodly man, and the Egyptian had a spear in his hand. But he went down to him with a staff. So this guy went down to him, this goodly man, the Egyptian, with a staff. And this guy had a spear and plucked the spear of the Egyptian's head. So now, give me that. And slew him with his own spear. My goodness. Give me that. Buddy. Oh, thank you, Lord. These things did Benaiah, the son of Joiada, and had the name among 3 mighty men. He was more honorable than the 30, but he attained not to the first 3. And David set him over his guard. So just in that one chapter there, it's not even all the chapter, the rest of them is just the name of the 30 that it just mentioned in that. Maybe I should read it, just to give the honor unto those who did do that. But nonetheless, wow. I believe that some people need to hear the story of the mighty men of war of the past that you don't hear a lot about. You don't hear stories too many times from people about that. I never knew about that until I read it. And you're talking about 40 years of reading the Word. It just went over my head before the times I've read anything like that. It just never captivated me until now. I mean, I wouldn't say until now, until when it was revealed to me, when I got that. That's moving, very moving. Wow. I'm hoping some of you guys, when you hear this, that you could see that there is something, wow, that moves you with these stories. That's pretty amazing stories. 800, 300, 2 lion-like men of Moab, and the lion. Then he's going to take this guy's going to take this. He went down to him with a staff, took a spear from the Egyptian, and killed him with his own spear. That's... I'm laughing because, man, it's amazing. It's amazing. In some ways, I wish God was still like that today. Because things would be different. Much different, I believe. But in a lot of ways, I'm glad that he's not. Because us Gentiles, who was not born of the Jewish faith, as a Jew, probably wouldn't have this gift of salvation that we have through Jesus, that was given to us because of his sacrifice. So we would basically be an infidel, in a sense, without Jesus. So I say that, and, say that I am glad that he's not still the same, because we would be in trouble. A lot of us would be. Not all, but a lot of us. All right. Let me pause this for a second. Use the bathroom. Okay. Before I get into this next one, there's going to be 2 chapters of this. And this is going to be referencing to Samson. He was a mighty man too. Some of you might know the story of Samson. Some of us were told the story and we don't really quite probably get the whole full picture of it without reading it or hearing it more in detail. But that was, when reading about him, It's a pretty moving story. It really is. Now I'm not gonna. I'm only reading. I'm gonna read 2 chapters. Chapter. It's in Judges chapter 15 and Judges chapter 16. I'm reading both because they both got some significant purpose to what I'm talking about of the mighty men of God. I'm always moved by these stories. Like when I'm reading these, man, I'm vividly picturing these things that are going on, and that's why it affects me more than probably some others, not all. Because as I'm reading it, I'm really visually picturing these events happening at the time when reading them, and it's like wow, like the guy who killed 800 people, 300. That guy killed the 2 lion. Like I mean, that's wow. Picturing that, that's just wow. That's all I can say is wow. All right, now this is going to be Judges chapter 15. Now this is going to be the story of some of the story of Samson. Now, this is going to be leading up to the end. All right. Judges chapter 15. But it came to pass with a while after, in the time of wheat harvest, that Samson visited his wife with a kid, and he said, I will go in to my wife into the chamber. But her father would not suffer him to go in, prevented him. And her father said, I verily thought that thou hast utterly hated her. So he often thought that he hated her. Therefore I gave her to thy companion. Is not her younger sister fairer than she? Take her, I pray thee, instead of her. Now you gotta remember, this is back in the day. Now this is before all the New Testament, so things were different then. And Samson said concerning them, now shall I be more blameless than the Philistines, though I do them a displeasure. And Samson went and caught 300 foxes, and took firebrands, and turned tail to tail, and put a firebrand in the midst between 2 tails. Now picture that. Samson went out and caught 300 foxes. I couldn't even picture catching one, but he caught 300 foxes and took firebrands and turned tail to tail and put a firebrand in the midst between 2 tails. So I mean, now this is just a guess by my understanding. Took 2 foxes, put tail to tail, and set their tail on fire. It's one. I'm guessing something with some kind of fire on it between the 2 tails. And when he had set the brands on fire, he let them go into the standing corn of the Philistines, and burnt up both the shocks and also the standing corn with the vineyards and olives. So he set these foxes on fire with this to burn up the food, from what I'm reading. Poor foxes. Yeah, I know, sad, right? It is, some ways. Then the Philistines said, who hath done this? And they answered, Samson, the son-in-law of the Temanite, because he had taken his wife and given her to his companion. And the Philistines came up and burnt her and her father with fire. Now, by what I'm guessing by that, he killed both his wife and her father with fire because of what Samson did. And Samson said unto them, though ye have done this, yet will I be avenged of you, and after that I will cease. And he smote them hip and thigh with a great slaughter. And he went down and dwelt in the top of the rock of Etam. Then the Philistines went up and pitched in Judah and spread themselves in Lehi. And the men of Judah said, Why are ye come up against us? That's a question. And they answered, To bind Samson are we come up, to do to him as he hath done to us. Then 3,000 men of Judah went to the top of the rocks of Edom and said to Samson, Knowest thou not that the Philistines are rulers over us? What is this that thou hast done unto us? And he said unto them, As they did unto me, so have I done unto them. And they said unto him, We are come down to bind thee. So come down to bind him, 3,000 men, that we may deliver thee into the hand of the Philistines. And Samson said unto them, Swear unto me that ye will not fall upon me yourselves. So he's saying, tell me, swear to me that you are not going to come upon me, that you're not going to try to do this. And they spake unto him, saying, No, but we will bind thee fast and deliver thee into their hand. But surely we will not kill thee. And they would not kill him. And they bound him with 2 new cords and brought him up from the rock. So they bound him with cords, whatever that is. Imagine it's something that bind you. Suppose most men would keep you from doing whatever. And when he came unto Lehi, the Philistines shouted against him, and the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him. Talking about Samson. And the cords that were upon his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire, and his hands loosed, and his bands loosed from off his hands. This is God that did this. The Lord did that. Loosed the things that was binding him. Wow. And he found now here you go. And he found a new jawbone of an ass, and put forth his hand, and took it, and slew 1,000 men therewith. What? And he found a new jawbone of an ass, and put forth his hand, and took it, and slew 1,000 men therewith. He took a jawbone of an ass and killed 1,000 men with a jawbone. What? That don't matter the shape of it, but it's just the fact that he just took a jawbone and killed 1,000 men with it. 1,000! What? I couldn't even picture a dozen. You're talking about 1,000 men with a jawbone. He just went through and just started slaughtering everything. Come here, you're going down. Wow. That's amazing. All right. And Samson said, with the jawbone of an ass, heaps upon heaps, with the jaw of an ass have I slain 1,000 men. Boy, he's feeling it. He's saying it. This is what I've done. That's because of the strength of God to give him. Did that. He's blatantly saying it. And Samson said, with the jawbone of an ass, heaps upon heaps. That's all these people piled upon one another. With the jaw of an ass have I slain 1,000 men. Power of God. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking, that he cast away the jawbone. He just threw it away out of his hand, and called that place Ramathalahi. Whatever. So he's done with it. I imagine he's still holding it, dripping with blood. So after he got done speaking, that's when he threw it away. Visualize that. 1,000 men with a jawbone. And he's sitting there, he's still speaking, and he's dripping with blood of the men he just killed. Heaps upon heaps of people. Wow. This is going to be a long video. I don't care. And he was sore athirst, and called on the Lord, and said, Thou hast given this great deliverance into the hand of thy servant. And shall I die for thirst, and fall into the hand of the uncircumcised? So now he's talking about, now he's he's thirsty. And he's saying to God, so now I die and fall into the hands of these people? But God clave an hollow place that was in the jaw, and there came water thereout. What? And when he had drunk, his spirit came again. So now he's feeling refreshed, and he revived. Wherefore he called the name thereof Hakal, in Hakor, which is in Lai, unto this day. And he judged Israel in the days of Philistines 20 years. That's the end of that chapter. Wow. Okay, this is going to be Judges 16. And, okay. Then went Samson to Gaza, and saw there an harlot, a whore, and went in unto her. And it was told the Gazites, saying, Samson is come hither. And they compassed him in, and laid wait for him all night in the gate of the city, and were quiet all night, saying, In the morning, when it is day, we shall kill him. Talking about Samson. And Samson lay till midnight, and arose at midnight, and took the doors of the gate of the city, and the 2 posts, and went away with them, bar and all, and put them upon his shoulders, and carried them up to the top of the hill that is before Hebron. And it came to pass afterward that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. And the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and said unto her, Entice him, and see wherein his great strength lieth, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him. And we will give thee, every one of us, 1,100 pieces of silver. Does that sound familiar? As Judas betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. Now you got Delilah having that situation before Jesus even came. So this is nothing new. And Delilah said to Samson, Tell me. Now this is her trying to entice him to give his strength away. And where his strength comes from. Tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth, and therewith thou mightest be bound to afflict thee. So she's asking about this to him, and I'm sure he's kind of gotten an understanding of why she's asking this. And Samson said unto her, If they bind me with 7 green withs that were never dried, then shall I be weak, and be as another man. Then the lords of the Philistines brought up to her 7 green withs, which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. So she did exactly what he said, that his strength would be weakened. She did it to him. Now there were men lying in wait. So now all these guys were waiting because she did what Samson said would weaken him, abiding with her in the chamber. And she said unto him, that's unto Samson, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he brake the withs. So now he broke the withs of what he said would weaken him. As a thread of tow is broken when it toucheth the fire, so his strength was not known. So he lied to her. Because it didn't work, what he said. And Delilah said unto Samson, behold, thou hast mocked me, and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray thee, wherewith thou mightest be bound. So she's asking again. And he said unto her, if they bind me fast with new ropes that never were occupied, then shall I be weak, and be as another man. Delilah therefore took new ropes, and bound him therewith, and said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And there were liars in wait, abiding in the chamber, and he brake them from off his arms like a thread. So that's twice now she's asked this, and twice he's lied to her. And Delilah said unto Samson, hitherto thou hast mocked me, and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web. And she fastened it with the pin, and said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he wakened out of his sleep, and went away with the pin of the beam, and with the web. And she said unto him, how canst thou say, I love thee? Talking about Samson saying that he loves Delilah. When thine heart is not with me. Now that's a question. She said, how can you say you love me if your heart is not with me? What? Tell me that's not deceiving. Ask all these times, and every time he tells you, you doing exactly what he told you would weaken him. Deceit. Okay, 3 times. That great strength. Okay. She said unto him, how canst thou say, I love thee? Okay. With me. Thou hast mocked me these 3 times, and hast not told me wherein thy great strength lieth. Well, yeah. And it came to pass, when she pressed him daily with her words, and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death. So she pressed him every day until he was just like, okay, I'm done. I'm vexed. To the point of just like, I'm ready to die. I'm tired of this. That's what I'm gathering. That he told her all his heart. So now he's weakened to the point of revealing what it is. And said unto her, that hath not come a razor upon mine head, for I have been a Nazarite unto God from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go far from me, and I will become weak and be like any other man. So that's where his strength was at. It was in his hair. As anybody that knows the story of Samson and Delilah. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she went and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, come up this once, for he has showed me all his heart. Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and brought money in their hand. So now poor Samson. So she betrayed him. What, 4 times? 3 times before he decided to tell her And then it was a fourth time. That sounds familiar. Silver, whatever. And then, of course, it's pretty good close reference to Old Testament, New Testament. I'm probably wrong in that. All right. Okay. And she made him sleep upon her knees. So she made him sleep upon her knees. And she called for a man, and she causeth him to shave off the 7 locks of his head. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. And she said, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he woke out of his sleep, and said, I will go out as at other times before, and shake myself. And he wist not that the Lord was departed from him. So he didn't know that the Lord had already departed from him. But the Philistines took him and put out his eyes. So they plucked his eyes out and brought him down to Gaza and bound him with fetters of brass. And he did grind in the prison house. Howbeit the hair of his head began to grow again after he was shaven. So he'd been in there long enough for his hair to start growing again. Of course, being blind, he ain't got no eyes now. Then the lords of the Philistines gathered them together to offer a great sacrifice unto Dagon, their god, and to rejoice. For they said, Our God hath delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hand. And when the people saw him, they praised their God. For they said, Our God hath delivered into our hands our enemy, and the destroyer of our country, which slew many of us. And it came to pass, when their hearts were merry, that they said, Call for Samson, that he may make us sport. Basically a spectacle, is what I'm gathering. And they called for Samson out of the prison house, and he made them sport. And they set him in between the pillars. And Samson said unto the lad that held him by the hand, Suffer me, that I may feel the pillars whereupon the house standeth, that I may lean upon them. So now he's telling the lad that brought him there, he's asking a request that his hands could be within just, touching the pillars, so he can basically hold himself up. I'm imagining that's deception, because he already knew what he was planning on doing. I'm just taking a step of faith on that. Now the house was full of men and women, and all the lords of the Philistines were there. And there were upon the roof about 3,000 men and women that beheld while Samson made sport. And Samson called unto the Lord and said, O Lord, remember me, I pray thee, and strengthen me, I pray thee, only this once, O God, that I may be at once avenged of the Philistines for my 2 eyes. That's deep. That kind of moves me almost to tears there. And Samson called unto the Lord and said, O Lord, remember me, I pray thee, and strengthen me, I pray thee, only this once, O God, that I may be at once avenged of the Philistine for my 2 eyes. And Samson took hold of the 2 middle pillars upon which the house stood, and on which it was held up, but it says borne, of the one with his right hand, and of the other with his left. And Samson said, Let me die with the Philistines. And he bowed himself with all his might, and the house fell upon the lords and upon all the people that were therein. So the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life. Then his brethren and all the house of his father came down and took him and brought him up and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol in the burying place of Mona, his father, and he judged Israel 20 years. That's wow. So his strength was able to bring down the house. He, somehow or another, with the strength of God that God gave him by honoring his prayer, that he was able to bring down the house upon all those people. You're talking, I'm assuming over 3,000. It said it right, about 3,000. That's amazing. Strength. Please show me how you could do it by your own strength. Go into a house that's got pillars and bringing the house down by your strength. That can only be done by the strength of God. And just smite, kill 1,000 people with a jawbone? Really? What? But the story of, him lying to her, Delilah, I can understand that. You're not wanting to give your truth of your strength. So he lied to her. And eventually he just got sick of it, all right, whatever. I'm sick of it. Here, I'm going to tell you. And she did it, according to what happened, or what he said. So let me tell you, the enemy's been making man fall since the beginning of time with a woman. And I'm not speaking against women by any means. I love my wife with all my heart. So, but just keep that in mind. Don't think that the enemy can't use a weak-minded individual who has not got their heart set on God to make you fall. That's been going on since the beginning of time, since Adam and Eve. It wasn't Adam who was deceived. It was Eve who was deceived and who deceived Adam into biting from that tree of knowledge of good and evil. The story wasn't supposed to be about the women thing, but I'm just throwing that out there. So this video is the longest video I've made so far, and I just wanted to speak on these. They don't get much airtime from people that I've seen. Can't say I've seen too many people speaking on these. And there's more. I just wanted to speak on these ones, and you see how long the video is. That's, I'm sure most of you have already turned it off by now. But nonetheless, I want to wish you Godspeed, blessings from God the Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And I wish you well.